The velvet hush that settled over Windsor on St. George's Eve felt staged by fate itself, a silence so absolute even the chandeliers seemed to hold their breath. 2 floors below the public apartments, an oak-paneled oratory flickered with candlelight as Princess Anne broke the crimson seal on a parchment King Charles had signed between chemo sessions. Courtiers insist the letter was written in a single burst after oncologists delivered a brutal update. If the current drug cocktail stumbles, His Majesty's horizon could contract to 9 months. That knowledge, shared with just 4 people, now glowed in ink that wavered where the monarch's hand had trembled. Anne read first, her military composure cracking only when she reached a line empowering, the guardian of future sovereign interests, a role last invoked when Henry VIII lay dying. The title was destined not for William nor for her, but for Catherine, whose calm has become Westminster's favourite sedative. Across the table the Prince of Wales swallowed hard, hearing in his father's flourished script both a blessing and a warning. Steady the realm, my son, yet trust the steadier. In a single breath the heir was knighted and half disarmed, every eye tracked to Catherine to see if she would flinch. She did not. Far away in Beijing, golden characters for harmony shimmered behind Prince Harry as he delivered a keynote no one in Whitehall had cleared. He spoke of climate as an economic time bomb, quoting numbers that shaved points off airline shares before the live stream ended. Chinese vice ministers smiled, American lobbyists scowled. Within minutes the Foreign Office crisis room lit up. Was the Duke freelancing trade policy, or courting investors for Travelers? MI6 analysts couldn't decide, but the timing ignited whispers. Did Beijing schedule the forum precisely to coincide with his father's Canadian tour? That tour was a logistical razor's edge. Charles, cannulas barely healed, boarded Voyager at dawn with a traveling oncologist, an emergency transfusion kit, and a speech he had rewritten mid-flight, to include an apology for colonial school abuses. Macmillan-era protocol warned against sorry statements, yet the king insisted, reconciliation is cheaper than regret. Aides feared the gesture might embolden Republican MPs. Downing Street feared the opposite, silence would. When he landed in Ottawa, drizzle kissed his cheeks like baptismal water, and cameras captured a monarch momentarily frail, then suddenly towering as a First Nations drummer marked his arrival. Inside Parliament the air smelt of cedar and fresh paint. Charles opened a session no sovereign had graced since 1957, reciting French with Oxford precision, and adding an unscripted vow to return items borrowed in eras less enlightened. The chamber erupted, but back in London hedge fund algorithms listening for repatriation phrases spiked alerts. Museums might lose colonial artifacts valued at £3 billion. In the Palace press office, aides pressed mute on speculations. Tonight's headline had to be unity, not asset risk. While the red carpet cooled in Ottawa, Windsor buzzed with unreported manoeuvres. Lord Dyson delivered sealed amendments, code-named Snowden Keys, to the Regency Act, allowing William to assume executive powers within 48 hours of a medical trigger without summoning Parliament. The Archbishop revised coronation liturgy to insert a clause empowering a Queen consort, or guardian to sign bills if a sovereign becomes non-communicative. Such legal engineering was supposed to be hypothetical. After tonight, it felt imminent. William paced the long library replaying memories of his father teaching him fly fishing at Balmoral, remembering laughter echoing off granite hills now shadowed by prognosis tables. 12 chandeliers away Catherine updated a risk matrix, engagements to cancel, patronages to reassign, classrooms to shield from paparazzi. She scribbled a note to herself, OBWAN, not Anakin, don't fight fire, redirect it. Her private secretary smiled. Star Wars metaphors have laced her strategy since the Sussex War. Heat rose when Caribbean rumor mills leaked a draft Barbadian, Second Republic, constitution naming 2027 as break date. Treasury foresaw £500 million in lost defence procurement. Tabloids foresaw monarchy's crumbling archipelago. Catherine scheduled a discreet Zoom with Barbados Youth Climate Ambassador, her fifth call this month to island leaders, while William phoned Downing Street urging investment sweeteners. Behind them, George practiced a Maori greeting for next term's assembly, unaware his future crown might shrink before he reaches A-levels. At 3:17, Canada time, Charles texted William a maple leaf emoji and 3 words, "Hold fast, skipper." He then authorized the release of a private diary entry from 1997. In it he mourned Diana and wrote of a steadfast girl from Berkshire, whose quiet grace may one day heal my sons and the sceptred isle alike. The note trended within an hour, stalling anti-monarchy hashtags and vaulting Catherine's favorability to 82%, a number pollsters deemed iron lung level for royal survival. But intrigue thrived. Russian botnets flooded comment sections claiming the maple leaf text was AI-generated, that the king was already incapacitated, that MI5 staged Windsor's candlelit scene for sympathy. GCHQ traced origins to a troll farm in St. Petersburg, but cautioned, truth matters less than viral half-truths. William convened a midnight meeting with Meta Security, requesting preemptive misinformation throttles. Meanwhile, Harry's Beijing talk drew a new conspiracy. Chinese green tech investors would bankroll Sussex Foundation in exchange for data on Commonwealth eco-corridors. His spokesperson called it ludicrous. The narrative still sprinted across Telegram, amplified by accounts previously hawking crypto scams. Morning Sun knitted gold across Windsor lawns as Princess Anne delivered the letter to the Crown Office vault, then saddled her horse for a 5-mile canter. Tradition, she says, is exercise in disguise. She later phoned the king, letter delivered. William processing. I'll keep the engines warm. Charles replied, voice thin, thank you. And look after Catherine, the realm might need her sooner than she thinks. Lunch in Ottawa found Charles declining wine, accepting only green tea. Camilla fielded reporters, praising Canadian maple syrup as fuel enough for a queen. Behind jokes, she drafted a contingency speech, where she would publicly support a regency, should physicians demand it, knowing some tabloids still brand her usurper. She underlined one phrase 3 times, the security of the crown resides in unity. That evening, travel charts showed Harry flying to Nairobi for a UN pre-COP summit, reportedly at Catherine's invitation to present a paired Earthshot Travelist blueprint. If successful, it would mark their first public alignment since 2019 and could channel £2 billion in green bonds through Commonwealth states, a diplomatic victory large enough to offset Caribbean drift. Yet skeptics feared the brothers' reunion might detonate anew under media flashbulbs. Over fish pie at Kensington, William rehearsed a handshake, firm, sincere, no wink. He planned a private photographer-only, embargoed images. Catherine reminded him to breathe from the diaphragm, not the jaw, tension shows in temples. She then read aloud King George VI's wartime speech, pausing at, make of this stern occasion, William finished, a thing for which our children's children will thank us. They smiled at the echo across generations. Past midnight, Windsor's quadrangle lights dimmed except one window. Inside, the prince scribbled final sentences to broadcast the next day. My father's courage inspires us all. The crown endures, not through blood alone, but through service shared. In that spirit my wife and I pledge whatever strength is asked of us, today, tomorrow, always. He slid the paper into his top drawer, next to George's crayon sketch titled, Daddy's Crown Needs Polish. Canada slept under northern lights as Charles's plane banked southward, infusion pump humming faintly. The king watched auroras dance and whispered lines from Shakespeare's Henry V, all things are ready if our minds be so. He closed his eyes, envisioning Westminster Abbey lit for a coronation he might not witness, trusting that the torch, once passed, would not flicker. We end tonight with that image. A monarch racing dawn, a future king steadying breath, a queen in waiting already steering storms, and a wayward prince chasing green horizons. In our next episode we follow the brothers to Nairobi, where a handshake, or its absence, could rewrite Commonwealth alliances and decide whether Charles's secret letter stays sealed or sparks the fastest coronation in modern memory. Subscribe, keep the bell on, and join us as crowns, cancers, and carbon collide in the most pivotal royal chapter since abdication.